Hey Cam, welcome to the Community Living Golf Tournament. Just want to give you an opportunity here to view your swing at regular speed. Then we'll go ahead and put you back in your address position and take a look at a few things for you. So while we got you here in your setup looks really good. Got your spine straight, not a nice tilt. Your legs come down into a nicely unlocked position. Arms hang down nice and naturally in front of you, and the golf club works out to the ball. So you're achieving some nice posture in association also with some really good balance. Let's go ahead and also take a look at your alignment. Now, your feet are set up in a closed stance. So your feet are theoretically aiming out in this direction. And theoretically, your club face is supposed to be running parallel to your feet. So if that was the case, and parallel lines on camera have the appearance of converging, even with that conversion, you're still set up at the right edge of the fairway, meeting the right rough. Yet the center of the fairway is back over here. So we're going to see some form of a compensation in your golf swing. You're either going to swing the club on plane and try and then flip your hands, release the club, impart right to left spin, and draw or hook the ball back towards the target. And if you don't swing the club on plane, then you're going to end up attacking the ball from over the top and swinging the club from outside to inside to try and pull the golf ball back towards the intended target. So we'll get a sense of what you do in just a minute here. So let's go ahead and do a little split screen comparison here between you and Brandt Snedeker. Now we've got some color-coded lines up on the screen, just as visual reference as it pertains to swing plane. So we can see the setups are similar, but we do notice, look at Snedeker's feet relative to yours. Again, his feet are running parallel to his club face. With his golf swing, simply want to bring the golf club back, create rotation, draw the hands and arms back with the club. Club comes back along the red line. We start to establish good wrist hinge into play through here, and then work the golf club from red up to yellow. When we finally set the club at the top of the backswing, left arm and club are on the yellow line. We have full shoulder rotation. We do that about a stable right side, and we keep the weight on the inside part of the right foot. With you draw the golf club back very nicely. Great shoulder rotation, drawing your hands and arms back with the club. Club comes back on a reasonably decent swing plane right here. Start to establish good wrist hinge into play, and continue to take that golf club up to the top. We finally set the club at the top, good rotation. Keep the arms in a nice geometric relationship to the core. The club's in good position relative to your arms, and you've turned on a very stable right side. Looks great. Now it looks like your club's across the line, just meaning it's pointing too far to the right, but theoretically, relative to your feet, it is not. So your club's is actually in perfect position relative to where you're actually aimed, not relative to where we have the camera set up and wanting to hit the middle of the fairway. As we create our transition back into the golf ball, simply we want to move our weight from our right foot to our left, fire our knees and our hips to the target, unwind the core, and fire our hands. And in doing so, we want to bring the golf club from yellow back down on top of red. And that's exactly what we see here with Brandt Snedeker. We see the golf club returning right back to on plane. The other thing we want to pay attention to is the relationship between the lead forearm and the golf club. Simply refer to this as the backwards check mark. Simply means that we're retaining angle coming into the hitting zone. It's going to allow us to create a lot of power in the golf swing, let alone getting the club to return back to plane, as we already pointed out, which is going to allow us to hit a straight golf shot in accordance to our alignment. Watch you create your downswing. Nice athletic move, firing your weight to the left, driving the knees and the hips, dropping the hands and arms. Golf club, from having been outside of the blue-yellow V zone, has now returned back into it. We'll bypass yellow and work towards red. Let's go one more frame. No, let's come on back. So at this point in time, we can take a look at your lead forearm and your golf club and basically recognize that you have your backwards check mark. Club heads above and behind, you're retaining angle. So creating power in your golf swing is not going to be a concern. Only issue at this point in time is club at this point has not returned fully back to plane just yet. We can see that your club shaft is sitting on an angle of about 50 degrees, and if the club head was on the red line, then the shaft of that golf club would be on an angle of about 35. And what we see with Brandt Snedeker is his is here at about 37. So that would be a lot more characteristic of what we're looking for. Now let's go ahead and continue to track the club heads coming into the golf ball. We can see with Snedeker, his club simply comes into the ball directly from the red line. So that means he's coming into the ball directly from on plane. And this is what's going to allow him to hit a straight golf shot in accordance to his alignment, assuming that the club face squares up via having a good grip. With your club, we go from here to here. Club drops down on plane. So if we were to connect the dots, if we had a little bit of higher speed camera, we can see you would have hit the plane line right about here and then continued into it from that zone. So you're coming into it quite well. You return the club to plane. It's definitely attacking the ball from inside. When a club attacks the ball from on plane, it is inside the ball. And what I mean by that is right now you can see that your club head, it's on plane. It's on the red line. Well, it's also where? It's also inside of the golf ball. So a lot of people think that inside means attacking the ball from in here, and that is not the case. Let's go ahead and continue to track the clubs coming into the ball. You expand out to the ball, looks great. Because you're aiming out to the right, the only way for you to hit this ball on line, you got to get the hands, forearms releasing, and you do. We can see here that the ball, whoop, let me clear that off. The ball does not head out. Sorry, it didn't transition. Let me clear that off again. The ball did not head out towards where you're aimed. It's heading out a little bit left of where you're aimed. The ball's going to get out in the air. It's going to have right to left spin, and it's going to have the ability to work its way back to the actual target. Okay? So this does require a lot of timing. If you do not square the club face up, you are going to hit the ball out in the direction of where you're aimed, or you may block it too far right. If you over-release the club, you may end up hooking the ball a little bit too far left. So the end result of your golf shots is very much dictated based on the timing of the club face. Because you're aiming out to the right, if you don't release the club, it follows red. We over-release the club, we're going to hook it left down blue, but if we time it perfectly, it's going to follow yellow, and we'll hit a soft draw turning into a very subtle hook. So again, it does require a lot of timing on your part to be consistent, because the three things we need in order to be consistent are: we have to aim at our target. In order to hit our target, we have to bring the club down on plane, which we saw his club was camouflaged by that red line. And then the club face has to square up via having a good grip. And that's exactly what we see here with Brandt Snedeker. So he's going to not have any issues being super consistent due to the fact that he achieves those three things: good aim, good downswing plane, good grip. Because you aim to the right, you now have to make a compensation because you are also bringing it down on plane. So you do have two of the three criteria. I also think your grip is good. So you have all three criteria. The problem is you're aiming out to the right. So if you fix that up, you can be a much better ball striker from a consistent standpoint. And then the last thing here, we want to learn how to finish with the weight in the left heel so we don't fall over and step out of the golf shot when we're done. So you can see here with Snedeker, when he's done his golf swing, his left toes are curled off the ground. His weight's in his heel of his left foot, so he won't fall over and take a step. So you got a great athletic motion. Golf swing looks beautiful. Great setup. Strong looking backswing. Hands work well back and through. Good coil. You coil back, uncoil through. You got good footwork coming through that allows you to get to a good finish. You just don't want to finish with the weight on the toes of the left foot, which causes you to fall forward towards the golf ball. And then really the biggest thing that's a little bit more fine detailed, and if I were working on your golf game, we would definitely try to reduce, and that is, we got to reduce the amount that your spine, let me clear that off, the amount your spine creates elevation change, up and down, and then the amount that of movement that you're creating in your head, and looking at your forehead and your chin. So if we watch the golf club come back, we should rotate on this axis and stay on this axis. You stand right up out of your axis as soon as you initiate the takeaway. So you can see your chin came up a little bit, started to back away, and then all of a sudden you recover and you start to dive back down into the box. So good looking backswing, that's fine. You start your downswing though, and actually what I want to do, I also want to just mark your backside here. And we're going to watch you initiate your downswing. See how you kick your lower body towards the golf ball? Well, when you kick your lower body towards the golf ball, the spine has to come up. And that's what we're going to notice here. So your spine's going to come up, your head's going to pull away from this box, and you're basically getting into a position here where your upper body, your left arm and club look terrific, very athletic. But the problem is, it looks like you stood a little close to the ball, and now you've thrown your lower body closer to the ball. You're getting into a position almost like a batter who gets fooled by an inside pitch and has to check their swing. So you keep coming up with your spine, and trying to make contact. So look at the elevation change now in your spinal position when you strike the ball. Let me clear that off again. Look at the spinal change position. You went up to 80 degrees when you're contacting the ball, and look how far your head moved, and look how far your rear end sank in towards the ball. So we're not really understanding the lower and upper halves, how the lower half creates an extension up, and then the spine and the head create an extension down. It's called action-reaction. So the lower and upper halves aren't working in sync and doing what they're supposed to do. And this is also going to create a lot of inconsistencies in the ball striking, only because there's just way too much elevation change and too much movement of certain body parts here. So you can see again, when you start on red, spine's angled at 50 degrees. You create your rotation, you pretty much maintain it during the backswing. You then sink your rear end into the golf shot, causes the spine to pull up and get into the yellow position and causes the head to pull away from the golf ball. So now your spine has moved up into a position of about 80 degrees. So a lot of fluctuation change there in the golf swing for sure. Okay, but needless to say, super athletic motion. Golf swing again looks really, really good. There's just a few things here you got to fine tune. Definitely got to fine tune that finish so you're not falling over. Ideally, you definitely want to learn how to create a little bit better move into impact where your rear end doesn't sink and the spine pulls up. You want to learn how to create action-reaction, action with the lower body that extends up, reaction with the upper body that stays down. And obviously fine-tuning your alignment so that you don't have to over-release the club with your hands, considering the fact that you're bringing the club down on plane. Okay? So again, great looking golf swing. Could tweak a few things up, become a lot better, a lot more consistent ball striker, and not have to work so hard and rely on your timing to be consistent. Okay? Anyways, at any point in time you ever wanted to work on these things, I'm located over at Glen Abbey in Oakville. Be happy to schedule some lessons with you and sort these things out for you. Also, if you're ever on any committees for golf tournaments or you play in tournaments and they're looking for a great service to provide to the guests, certainly feel free to reach out. All my contact information is at the end of this swing analysis, both my email and phone. Anyways, hope you had a great day. Hope you enjoyed getting an opportunity to see your swing on video, and hope you have a great summer, and perhaps maybe we'll hear from you. Take care.